Good morning, everyone. This is IT Live. It's brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm Texas Homer. I'm also a guy that's silencing my phone, and that's Ian Boyd. We're going to talk about football. What are the odds of that? We're going to talk about rebuilding the run game, what we want to see. Ian takes a very practical approach to how this can be done. And then, of course, how do we elevate the secondary back to a championship level? It's very, very important in modern football to be able to be absolutely locked down. And I want to see you over at Inside Texas. Please join us for $1. We'd love to see you. Incredible analysis from Ian and Paul and company, of course, recruiting/portal world, and then Eric dropping all the team news as things break. It's an exciting time. Join Inside Texas. Good morning, Roaster. Good morning, Sandman. Let's hit Ryan Nelson first. Scott is the fall man, but we know choice recruits were mid. He got out before he was going to get canned. Ian, what do you think of Ryan Nelson's take on the Scott?
I don't think that's why Choice left. I think Choice left for just the opportunity. I mean, we don't know what the inner workings are like in there. Me and you have believed for a while that Choice's takes were indeed not good, and that Scott was in a pretty difficult situation. I mean, his top two options were dude coming off an ACL that never looked the same, and third down back who missed almost the entire non-conference season. So pretty tough situation. But
with an offensive line that wasn't known for their elite run blocking as well.
Yeah, no good deep threat in the passing game, and terrible interior offensive line play, and a shaken quarterback initially because of those other factors, in my opinion. So, yeah.
It was interesting that he was the first to go, right? That was one where I didn't really grade him hard, but it was just that was the first one was interesting. I wonder if he follows Neil Brown to UNT.
The timing of it doesn't really matter to me. Like maybe if they wanted to get that Florida guy.
That's what seemed to
Ukulele, what's his name?
Yeah, it's Ukulele for sure. I don't know. I always screw up his name. Let's see. His name, Jabbar Jalouk.
It could be that the timing required him to push him out. Maybe we'll see if Flood will be fired or not, right?
Yep.
If you're Sark, maybe you give Flood a little more time because he's like your dude. You have like a decade-long partnership, you know?
Yep.
Maybe you give him some time to find an exit and don't just pull the rug out immediately. I don't know. I'm just speculating, though. Chad Scott did not seem like the problem from the outside looking in. We're not inside the building.
I was going to say, you don't know I never know the actual human interpersonal dynamics there, so I can't say this was crazy. I don't know what their relationship was. I was just interested that was the first one. And then, also thinking you probably keep these guys through the bowl. It's just weird to fire the running back coach and no one else. So it's just, how does this work? And of course, the Jalouk thing. I mean, Kentucky wrote a whole biography on Jalouk. So it's like they were expecting to hire him. Will Stein was expecting to hire him from what their media was doing, giving a whole background on the guy. So it seems like we jumped in there and we got to see. Of course, he was at Florida, history with LSU as well. So coached in the SEC, coached some really good backs, landed some really good backs. In recruiting. Me and you both don't think that recruiting the rainmaker status doesn't mean as much anymore when NIL is frankly getting you probably 70% of the way there with most recruits. But recruiting still matters in that he identified really dynamic backs that went on in college to perform at a high level. So that's what I like about the recruiting side. Not just landing guys, the money does that, but identifying guys correctly that had really good careers in college is an important factor to me.
I'd say that's become one of the most important things, because the more and more you move towards a sort of salary cap structure, this took forever in like the NBA, but you know what kills a team is bad contracts. When you can't make your roster better because you don't have financial flexibility, because you have money invested in players that were bad evaluations, that's when you die. So that the evaluation skill is, I would say, that's like probably pretty exciting. You want as many good evaluators in your program as possible, especially in the personnel department, but certainly it doesn't hurt to have a coach that can do it.
Living Rent Free makes a good point. We also had a fumbler and another guy coming off an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
That's a tough room to get saddled with. And Ed B asked, why fire Flood? Of course, we can talk about that if you guys want. But really, it's interesting because if you fire the running backs coach, Chris Jackson's not guaranteed to return. And then if you fire Flood, the only guy that's left there is Banks. So you've basically done what you would do if you hired a coordinator and let them hire a staff. You've pretty much recreated the offensive staff. You have Milwee there. But that's also interesting. That's where I keep warning, like, you fire too many pieces here and they're not sound, you can end up in a rebuild very fast. And so that's just kind of what I'm wary of as well.
Are we in a rebuild anyways?
It's kind of a, what is it, build the plane while it's taking off rebuild, opposed to like a brand new staff. You know, at first it was sold as some key tweaks like Flood, right, or something like that. But now there's enough potential departures and departures for performance that could end up like you just hired an OC and the staff is brand new. That's a little bit different than we were sold a month ago. And
I think you can get away with a lot of turnover when you have top people in place. Because I think what kills you in turnover is when the new guys have to learn the team. Like you see this over and over again nowadays. In year one, the coach comes in and he does all this stuff and he like moves guys to new positions. And sometimes you're like, oh, finally. And sometimes you're like, you think that guy can do that? Have you watched our film? And sometimes they'll even be like, I'm not watching film. Everybody's got a blank slate, whatever. When you got guys at the top, I've seen teams make amazing turnarounds with significant staff overhauls when they still have like the head coach in place or whatever in place, because there's people around that know what's wrong and what's right. So I'm not too worried about that. I feel like they could get away with considerable overhaul and be totally fine because Sark is still at the top and a lot of the infrastructure is still at the top to know what's going on.
Yeah, maybe. It's just there's a tipping point somewhere, you know, where you go from significant overhaul but successful to, hey, this is like having a new staff. You have a guy at the top, but the guy at the top's having to do a lot of talking and a lot of coaching of coaches at that point. Yeah,
but he can be like a VP of common sense, like to borrow that old Bill Simmons idea, where like someone comes up and they're like, hey, so what we think is Brecken Hager is going to play Mike linebacker. And then the head coach can be like, no. Go back to the drawing board. Don't do that. Play him at edge, obviously. And that's kind of the job of a head coach anyways. I mean, I don't know how.
I agree.
I don't know how the extent to which Sark does that. At least some, surely. Gundy was amazing at that, right? Mike Gundy would always go in and like ask his coaches, like, why was Texas able to take our best player out of the game with cover 2 to his side? That's it. We just can't use our best player anymore. He was always good at things like that.
Yeah. But if things go that way, then you only have Banks left on the offensive side. And he's a tight end coach, but really it's McIndoe. He's really more of the tight ends now. So you end up basically with an offensive coaching rebuild at least. And so
didn't you want a new play caller anyway?
I do, but I'd rather do that and just have a sound vision across than like patchwork little pieces here and stuff like that. I want the OC, but I don't want that middle ground. I think you get a little schizophrenic when you do that. So that's more where I'm at with the offensive coordinator thing. And I'd also be open to just promoting Milwee to that role as well.
Sure.
Several source people have said he had a bigger impact than you realize, Ian. I know you disregard it, but I've heard it from several people that Milwee did some good stuff here. And so I think that could be a potential thing. All right. You want to talk rebuilding the Texas run game?
Yeah.
Let's do it, because I think that's going to be an absolutely huge key to what we want to do.
I have it as the second most important thing behind.
Yes, we will get to the first most offensive side of the ball, most important thing.
Yeah. People are going to care more about this than the other one, I think.
Yeah, they will.
But they're wrong.
All right. So give the sad stats of how this running game performed this year.
Texas needs Trey Wisner to hit 403 rushing yards against Michigan to have a 1,000-yard rusher. Sark has been an offensive coordinator, play caller for a college team 15 seasons now. And in 12 of those seasons, he had a 1,000-yard rusher. In 2 other seasons, he had a dynamite run game, but they did it by committee at USC. So you'd have like 3 guys with 600 yards and 5 to 7 yards a carry. So no 1,000-yard rusher, but they could run the dang ball.
Yeah.
He's had 1 year where he didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher, and it wasn't because the carries were too split up. That year was last year at Texas. Last year's Texas run game was garbage, and it was far and away the worst run game that Steve Sarkisian has ever coordinated in his entire life. Not great.
Not great. So how do we fix it, Ian? That's the big question that people want to know. What's step 1?
I don't know if it's actually going to be that hard.
Okay.
Because I think Sark knows how to do it. He's almost always does do it. Step 1, this would be the best step, but they don't have to do this, but they should do it anyway. Deep threat receiver. You have the outside guy that can command safety attention, or a guy that's just open on the first read. That makes such a huge difference, Connor.
Yeah, I agree.
They didn't really have that last year. I think Livingston was close. I feel like he may have lost something a little bit when he took that shot against Florida. I think there was also, they were so all in on utilizing Wingo. Sometimes you wondered, like, why don't you guys start Mosley and Livingston together?
Yeah.
But they insisted on playing Wingo a ton.
Not just playing him a ton, giving him an insane target share too.
Yeah. Yes. So Wingo was not good as a deep route guy, and they ended up maximizing him on bubble screens. Texas fans' favorite play. Yeah. Livingston and Mosley are solid on them, but that guy, it just, pass protection becomes so much easier when you dial up your shot. The quarterback gets to the top of his drop, and the number 1 guy is just running open already. You just throw it. And Texas does not have that right now. Can they get a guy like that? They have, like with all these things, they have 2 options. One of these guys gets better, or they go find him in the portal. It feels like they're leaning towards 1, right? You just don't hear a lot about Texas planning to go after because to get the guys that everybody would want would cost millions of dollars. It just doesn't sound like that's in the cards, right? Connor?
Yeah, or just make a good eval too. I mean, it's possible. It's harder to hit those, but AD Mitchell was hurt when we got him, and we were still like, we'll take him. And then Golden as well becomes it. So it's it doesn't necessarily have to be a guy that's already at the top of the sport. It's just a guy that you can project well as well. It doesn't have to be Cam Coleman, as people say in the chat.
Well, maybe they've got somebody like that in mind, but we'll see. It feels like they're kind of committed to who they already have. particularly Wingo. It feels like they are dead set on Wingo being the answer. And honestly, he missed both. He missed chunks of both spring and fall camp. So it's not like there isn't a lot of a lot of juice left in the squeeze. If he actually could spend some time getting coached and developing this offseason. One of many things that went wrong this offseason, right? But if you see the numbers in my little table here,
Hell of a table, brother.
Ryan Wingo, 92 targets, 50 catches for 770 yards at 8.4 yards per target.
Yeah, it was like 50-something% catch rate, which is crazy.
54% completion rate targeting Ryan Wingo. What's funny is that everybody's ready for DeAndre Moore to go. 10.6 yards per target. 38 catches on 50 targets. Every time they involved DeAndre Moore, it was like, that was great. That went really well. They just didn't do it very much.
That's why I'm sympathetic to Moore, because I get it. If negotiations are untenable, right? If the price point in which he wants to make, and this is modern football, there's nothing wrong with Moore doing this. It doesn't make sense for them, sure. But I am sympathetic that Arch couldn't even throw it to him for the first half of the season. It would bounce off the ground. He had a good Arkansas game. Then he had some drop issues later. We were hoping those drop issues didn't continue from last year. But Moore is more sound. Fans are getting a little bit mad at Moore because he's negotiating, and that just naturally kind of sours people. But I am more sympathetic to Moore's cause. If the money's not right, the money's not right. And go get your money elsewhere, man. Like, good for you. But we didn't utilize him very effectively at times either.
I would let him go because I think McCutcheon is also very explosive. I think Niblett could maybe be explosive in the slot. But I just think the thing is that Sark just doesn't really use that position very much.
It's true.
And so it just doesn't matter. Like,
yeah, even when we had Whittington, if they had like 2 lockdown corners that could shut down our outside, that's when you would see Whittington kind of pop up. But really, his slot option is the tight end. You're like in the Sark offense, the slot's like the 4th option on what he really utilizes.
Yep. Well, I mean, I guess he was second on the team in targets.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. It's not like this most dynamic position. It's not his like first read very often.
Yeah. Livingston, super effective. This a little strange we didn't see him more. Maybe he was dinged up. Mosley is kind of complicated.
He didn't play early either, so
his numbers are kind of mediocre. When you watch him, he felt like one of the more reliable guys.
He's the most skilled of the wide receivers as far as route running and knowing how to set DBs up.
Yeah. Wisner, those numbers don't look good, but those are all like check downs and a lot of screens that were like he was caught 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage with no blocking or something. So Wisner, very good. Nelson commented that I was trying to convince myself Wingo will be good enough in year 3. Not really. I think it's possible. I was kind of suspicious about Wingo this year.
Yeah.
Because there was this whole thing, people probably remember this on the message board, where he got LASIK. And people were like, oh, snap. Imagine Ryan Wingo with LASIK. And I was like, well, his releases weren't very good last year.
Yeah, it was his feet. It had nothing to do with his vision.
Did he see down to his feet?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And, I mean, we were pointing it out versus Georgia 2 years ago that, like, he didn't have an understanding of space. He couldn't actually set guys up. And he does it this year. He doesn't. Like, Mosley's a great example of how to do it well. When Mosley sets up a DB running down the field, he takes his step, waits for the DB to react, and then he steps again. He's actually reacting to the player. Wingo is not. Wingo is going through, like, he's been taught you need to step this way and step that way. He'll do the step. The DB will not react at all, and he'll still go into his move, and he'll just run into the DB. He's not getting that it's like, hey, man, we're not just asking you to take steps 10 yards down the field. We're trying to get you to set up guys. Mosley has that ability. Wingo still doesn't really know how to counter a DB or make a DB do something that he wants. Unless it's, I'm going to run right by you because I have space.
Yeah. He's like a perimeter slot player.
Yeah.
He is not really a true wide receiver just yet. We'll see. We'll see. I'm with you. I would love to try to find a Golden or a Mitchell in the portal or a Mosley. Honestly, I thought Mosley was a really nice addition, but specifically somebody that's good at getting open deep and getting open deep on the routes that Texas wants to run, like side adjustment routes, where it's like you're going to run here if this and here if that, and you better get it right because the quarterback's going to throw to a particular spot. And if you're not running to that spot, we're going to have an interception. So I think that would be the most important thing for this offense in this run game, because I think that's the most important thing for every offense in every facet. So always step one for me.
All right. Before we go to step two, let's hear a word from Academy. The holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list. From football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands, the most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. All right, brother. Step two. Let us begin. Now the people are fired up. Build the interior offensive line.
Yeah. They were really bad this year, Connor.
No.
So pretty simple. You want to go from very bad to, good. I think good would be nice.
Average would have been sick. I would like I was killing, dude. If we can just get an average run game, like just average, FBS average, not even like SEC average. We were just really, really, really bad there.
Yeah, they were terrible. I mean, you had teams that would be like, you go into Florida, and it'd be like, well, Florida is not a good pass rushing team, so at least we don't have to worry about it this week. And then they shredded Texas's pass protections, and it's like, no, you have to worry about this every week. Great. Yeah, I would target a new starter at all three positions. And then if the guys already on campus can hold them off and keep their jobs, then
Great.
hooray.
Yeah, because the problem is what we're talking about in the portal right now is how do we get a starting offensive line, which you need, but you also need depth. Guys get hurt. We've been lucky with injuries. Most teams aren't. So you can't just do bare minimum there too, because say that you do get the left guard from blah, 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 and then he tears his ACL in camp. Then you're still – it's a weak – Paul points it out. If one person is bad on the offensive line can be bad. It's a weak link position. They will target and abuse the worst player on there. It's part of every defensive staff's game plan. So even say you nail it, say it's all first team SEC, 5 across, but everyone behind them are not playable, you're still in a world of hurt. And so that's the thing too, is you need competitive depth, and that's important too. So that's why it's like I'd rather take 5 than take 3 at offensive line, just because of that stuff. The number for me is 4, but I'd rather take 5 before I took 3.
I'm a little nervous about that because they need to take a lot of guys to seriously contend for a national championship next year. I'm worried that people don't understand how much Texas needs to improve.
Right.
Like 9-3 is solid, but you're losing guys, and B, to get from 9-3 to 12-0 or whatever
is a huge gap.
It's a huge step. It's a much big. It's a similar step to getting from 5-7 to like 9-3.
Yeah, a couple changes that are sound can get you in the playoffs. We're not trying to get in the playoffs, it's like we're trying to win, and that's a huge, huge difference. That's why I hear a lot of people like, if we do, we'll be good if we do X, Y, Z. It's like that's not the standard. The standard's not good. It's like we're trying to compete for national championships here. So that's the big thing. And on interior offensive line, I can't remember if it's in this part or later. Okay. I thought you had a pretty reasonable approach because what fans are saying is like, dude, hire a new offensive line coach, get these guys in the portal, become maulers, right? Like become the Michigan style. When we step on the field,
Yeah.
it's 200 yards a game. That'd be sick. I would love that. But you're much more practical here, and you're like, look, man, that's not what it is. And you say it here, like this is Sark's team is a finesse team on offense. They're more of screening, they're more pass blocking. Not this year. But can you kind of explain that? It's like, look, we would all love to have an incredible forward moving offensive line, but that's just not really Sark's system right now or hasn't been for 5 years. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, Sark's system is not designed to just go take it down people's throats. He pays lip service to it. They try to foster physicality as a culture in the culture in the program. I think they do a pretty good job, honestly. But it's a different deal when you're trying to build your team to smash the ball when the other team knows it's coming. Like everything looks different when you do things that way. Your strength program is different. The guys you target is different. The way you choose which people start where is different. You don't have marginal left tackles playing left guard when your goal is to smash people. Your playbook is different.
Yep.
Sark, so much of Sark's playbook is excellent for running the ball, and he's really good at running the ball on teams that are trying to game your run game, like Oklahoma and Texas A&M. But he does it with multiplicity. He does it with misdirection, and he does it with loads of run-pass conflict. So, like every single run has like a play action to the tight end off of it, a deep play action attached to it, a screen attached to it, an RPO attached to it, maybe a quarterback option run attached to it. So he's always making you think, creating hesitation, getting his guys to the spots they need to be in before you can get there. And then once his guys get to those spots, they are taught, get your hat on the right guy and just hold space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Texas blocks. They're not necessarily trying to drive people all that often. A lot of times, especially when they're at their best, they just get to a spot and screen people away from the lane and then let the running back make the play.
Yeah, they just physically get between you and the running back. They'll just turn, but it's not – yeah, I agree. It's not drive off the ball. And so even – I would love that. Like some people smash people like Georgia. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That takes so long too. It's not even just – everything has to change.
And well, we studied Michigan for defensive film study with Drew and Jet, and you see their play calls. You see how this offense is designed literally around the run, and they do a lot of cool stuff. But you just see the differences in these offenses that do that. That takes, and like you said, that takes a different strength and conditioning. That takes a different cultural mindset, takes a different style of play calling from the coordinator. The reality is it's a finesse team, which is like a diss in football world, but the reality is the reality that it is a finesse team on offense, and its success comes from schematic overload versus being physically overpowering teams.
Most good NFL offenses are a little more finesse because it's just not feasible in a salary cap to be the biggest, strongest team, right?
It's harder to do.
It's harder to do. In college, you can do it, but it's actually still super hard and inefficient. I don't think that a Georgia-Michigan style is ever going to be the right style for Texas. I just don't think that plays to our strengths as a state. And there's no marginal advantage relative to these other programs. I mean, if you get Jim Harbaugh in here, he could probably make it work.
Yeah.
But barring that, I just don't think that's right for Texas.
Also, trying to play the game against teams that are known for that game is tough. Like, you're like, let's smash like Georgia. Well, guess what? When we go up against Georgia, they're like, hey, we've been doing this. This is what the culture's about. So you're also going to run into a similar problem there.
It's the Bane problem.
What's that?
That you merely adopted the dark.
Yeah, exactly. I was born into it. So it's like you still, whenever you run head-to-head with these teams that have been about it, and that wasn't an identity they had to think up in a boardroom. I would like to become that. They just are that and have been because their staff. It's a little bit different. But yeah, it'd be sick if you could just maul teams. But
this is good news though, because this is totally doable.
Yeah, that's why even though it's not the sexiest sounding thing to myself and fans, this is the practical way to improve this Texas team with Sarkisian.
You also you can get closer to a smash mouth style with the transfer portal than I really would have guessed. Like watching Oregon this year, their line is like 3 or 4 transfers, and most of them, this is their first year there, and they kind of get after people. Emmanuel Prignon in particular, their left guard.
Yeah, we were in on him, or trying to be at least.
Yeah, I don't know what the truth of the story is there. There's some people that think we totally had him and we just let him go. I don't know if that's true because Oregon was involved. So are you sure that it was a sure thing that he was going to come to Texas instead of Oregon? I don't know about that. But see, Living Free in UT says Lanning has that physical mentality somewhat, but they also, Will Stein is all about, he's a little finesse too.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he's a schemer.
He's a schemer. He does all kinds of stuff to help them out. But Prignon is also, that guy's really good.
Yep.
Produced by Lincoln Riley of all people.
And yeah. Step 3, Ian. The most beautiful step.
Yeah, this one I put last, but it is also essential. For some reason. Normally this one is like
schemer. Schemer. He schemes offenses.
I don't know why this is so hard for Texas. But
it's weird because to say why this is hard for Texas with our like legendary run of running backs. But
I'll tell you one thing. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to say you just stated here. One of the more damning aspects of Sark's regime is that he inherited 3 NFL running backs, Bijan, Roschon, and Jonathan Brooks, and his best replacements have been Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner. It's very weird.
Sark gets too caught up in national recruiting, in my opinion. I'm going to go against what every other person in our staff and in the recruiting world and Paul would say. It drives me nuts when they go out of state so much. Because I'm like, you don't really need to go out of state if you just eval Texas well enough. You know? Like, I don't mind going out of
positions. For certain positions, I agree.
There's no position that you can't find the guy in Texas, honestly. Now, I understand defensive line. You want to go out of state.
That's what I was going to say. Defensive line. Those are some. And also, it's like, man, the state's gotten
really
hot.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of big play. The competition's like real now. This isn't back when Mac was around and you were the only horse. Like, all these guys can pay. All these guys have good pitches. Like, now everybody's winning. So it's also, the state is such a different world than when we were dominating it in that era.
I think that they get overly fixated on star chasing. They want the sure things because you have to pay top dollar. But here's the thing. What if you just took the right 3 stars for cheaper and then there's no financial risk and you only pay them when they turn out to be awesome and then you have to retain them?
You sound like Nagy, dude.
Nagy has been right about this the whole time. I've never.
Well, sure. There's nothing wrong with finding value. Your thing was always making fun of their corporate structure.
Yeah.
There's no problem with finding value. I agree.
Especially like if it's in your state, you can evaluate it better. You know, sure. It's right there. How many Florida running backs have busted for Texas now? They were like these sure thing dudes, right?
Yeah.
And it's not hard to find good running backs in Texas. It's like not something that the state is struggling with.
Yeah, it's not a position like that.
There's always top dudes. And sometimes you get a bust rate with those guys because it turns out that they don't know how to find open lanes and they don't have like Alito's line blocking for him or whatever.
But if you notice, like generally when we're taking like a position coach that's known for kind of their extended recruiting, we're hiring them also, 30% of that hire is their region, right? So it's like we're hiring him because running back coach, but also he knows Georgia, Florida. So it's like it's no surprise that this guy ends up pulling guys from Georgia, Florida, because we're selecting for people that would pick guys in those regions too.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it, Connor. And it just so happens that running back's gone really poorly for Texas.
Yep.
Like, man, Stan Drayton, say what you will about him, but when he like really put his finger on a guy, like this is the guy, that dude ended up being really good.
Well, the big knock on Drayton is that he didn't recruit other positions, and he would just pick his guy and basically not talk to anyone else. Okay, well, I can't argue with these results because the guys that he did pick, he got, and they were incredible running backs. So the knock on him is just like, look, man, he was old school. He would just pick his guy, get him committed, and he really wouldn't do anything past that. And it's like, sure, you would like them to recruit other positions, but it's like, yeah, the guys he picked are awesome. And so it's also that thing too. I don't get that knock on Drayton. And guys that recruited other positions and stuff like that, they took 5 stars, but all those guys didn't pan. And they were kind of the 5 stars that if you eval'd, you would look in the rank, like you would watch their tape and be like, nothing crazy, it's like he looks good, he's big, but it wasn't. You watch like Jonathan Brooks in high school, you watch, of course, Bijan, right? And Rojo was a quarterback, but it was always kind of the 5 stars in names, but when you watch the tape, it wasn't absolutely crazy. Or it's your eval that you always point out that is, look, this guy's just running sprints through open gaps. Like this doesn't tell me anything about his running back skill. It looks awesome because on his huddle, he has like 90, 80-yard runs, but his offensive line is parting the seas, and he's just 100-meter sprints to the end zone.
While we're on this detour, Rex St. Charles, 1008, said, Ian is telling us we should let Tyler Atkinson out of his NLI. I'm not saying that. Tyler Atkinson is clearly awesome. They snatched him right out of Georgia. Big PR win over Georgia in media days. Kind of guy that Georgia wins with guys like this. So just denying Georgia access to Atkinson is kind of nice. Just like the rest of the SEC should send Sark a Christmas fruit basket for that one, right? Or maybe some chocolates. But I'm not a huge fan of linebacker is not a position where I want to go big game hunting in high school recruiting. I just don't think that I just don't know that it's worth it.
The price paid.
Yeah.
It's an experience position.
It's an experience position.
Yeah, you need to see it on the field. Athleticism is great, man. If you can get an athletic guy that then gets experience, we saw Anthony Hill, so we're not saying it can't happen. But Ian is also saying you can portal in a third-year thumper that's proven it for way less and get the same or maybe better results. Is that a correct way to state what you think or no?
Yeah. Like I over at americaswargame.substack.com, I just wrote about Indiana's defense this year. They've got a pair of 3-star linebackers. Or no, not even that. They have like a 3-star linebacker out of like Ohio who had 7 sacks this year. And then they have another linebacker that was like unrated out of high school, redshirted at Navy and then transferred in, who had 8 sacks. And he's 5'11". Okay. And you're like, well, because they played crappy teams. Well, he just sacked Julian Sayin for the Big Ten championship. And it's because they use these modern schemes where they find the weak link in the protection, and they blitz it unexpectedly. And these guys are also just pretty good and well-developed. Or if you watch Pete Kwiatkowski's defenses at Washington, maybe not quite as good at getting to the passer as these Texas teams, but not that far off, right? Considering that they're all like 2- and 3-star dudes from the Pacific Northwest. So what – you see what I'm saying here?
It does make me nervous, though, because Cignetti his coaching is clearly miles ahead of everyone. So it's like, well, if Cignetti can do it, we can do it. I'm like, I don't know if that's a –
But Pete Kwiatkowski can do it, and he has done it.
He has done it, but he's not coaching those linebackers either. So it's
I
like,
still feel like that's where you get. I don't feel like that's where your money buys you the big
no,
advantage.
I agree. I
It's
agree.
like
There's
it's defensive line.
there's some portal positions that you should pay up for, and there's others where you can go scout and get somebody that you don't necessarily need to pay that level.
Running back is another one. The whole idea of signing blue chip running backs for big NIL deals out of high school is also something that I am pretty scared. I don't know about that. I would do it in the portal a lot. And definitely this year, Texas is now in a position where they absolutely have to do it in the transfer portal. Because who on this team is going to be the volume running back? I keep forgetting about Michael Terry. That's maybe the most promising volume back on the whole team. And the reason he's the most promising is because we haven't seen him
I've
do
seen him
that.
play. I haven't seen him.
So he's just
That was all this year was maybe this magic guy will come in. And I kept warning everyone. I was like, guys, this is what being on a bad offense feels like. Then the player you haven't seen is the secret to your success. The reality is it just wasn't very well coached this year, and nobody was really ready.
yeah.
So the good thing about running back in the portal is you can find them. They exist. They exist at the lower levels. The evals are easy. They project better than other positions. You can see it. Washington at Arkansas, of course, the famous one, Hardy, Bothwell from Mississippi State. They're out there, man. You can go and find them. And it's not an incredibly expensive position if you source them. Now, Ahmad Hardy is about to go way. I don't know how old he is. No, he was a freshman, so he's about to get paid now. But you'll get a year at a reasonable rate. That's nice, opposed to high school recruiting. Like a Derek Cooper. It sounds like I'm knocking him. I'm not knocking Cooper. I'm knocking the situation. You're paying him good money, and you can probably get that for less at a proven player right now. So it's just the pure market realities kind of here that you can get a reasonable cost for a year until they blow up. Then you have to pay them, but everyone's fine with paying them once they've proven it, right?
Justin Wales asks, Ian, what positions do you want us to recruit out of high school? Is it only DT and OL? No. I would recruit decent sized classes out of high school, like 20 guys a year. Leave a lot of room for the portal, but I'd still take like 20 guys a year. I would emphasize positions that you can't get for any value in the portal. So D tackle, edge, offensive tackle, maybe
the ones
corner.
that school don't let go of, then they pay up for.
And then I would try to find a lot of 3-star guys or low 4-star guys where I think they have tools and they can be developed. And then we're not on the hook for a lot of money unless they pan out and we have to retain them or keep them from going to the NFL. Problem with Texas is I'm not sure which positions Texas is that good at developing. Yeah. So that makes it hard. But that's all the more reason to let other people do it for you and lean more on the transfer portal. So,
yeah, the development's the tricky part because we're like, we'll take these 3-star guys and in 3 years they'll be ready. It's like, well, we had some third-year guys that showed up on the team and they were not ready. So
Ryan Nelson says these 30-man classes by Georgia, I believe, are not optimal. But Georgia loads up on the kind of guys I'm talking about. And they, it's working. They know how to develop guys.
So. Edge looks good with the development. I'd agree there. I think those guys have developed. Now, Colin Simmons is a star. Some of those are like fresh off, but
yeah, I think I think that they coach that position really well.
Yeah.
I mean, Colin Simmons, this is not that hard.
That's a day one, but I'm talking, Burke and all of that kind of
stuff. Yeah, they've done a good job.
Yeah. So find a volume running back. Do you feel like how many do you want running backs?
I mean, I would probably 2, honestly.
I was going to say 2 for me too because it's an injured position. It's an injured position at Texas too. Because say you get your volume running back and once again ACL, now you're back in the exact same situation as last year. If Trey's your number 2, now Trey's number 1, and then who the hell is number 2? So it's like that's why I'm like so obsessed with volume. And I know there's financial realities. I can't just say I want $1 billion at each position, but on offensive line and running back seem like ones that we really do need to have that value. A wide receiver, just take one, because you do have it. But if that volume running back gets hurt, you're in the exact same situation.
I'm very nervous about this because right now they still have Wisner, which is fine because Wisner's pretty valuable. Clark,
Mhm.
Simon,
Mhm.
Terry, Walker, right? Is that his name? Jet Walker?
Mhm.
Cooper.
Mhm.
That's 6 guys already. So how many do they plan to add to that unless somebody leaves?
Well, yeah, Eric said that Clark and at least a couple days ago that Clark and Simon weren't guarantees to return. So we got to see there. But you'd absolutely, I mean, the room needs to get lighter if you're going to bring in guys.
That makes me nervous.
And they're not going to cut the freshmen that just showed up. So it's got to be from that middle class right there, those middle-aged guys.
I do kind of like Walker, but not in year 1. Cooper, I feel like somebody was like extolling him on the board. And they're like, he's 6'2" and runs a 10.7 100 meter. And I was like, that sounds like a wide receiver.
He's a fun runner. Like he also has this, he just runs with his arm like he's going to punch somebody. But a lot of it is, like you're saying, running sprints. Now he has good movement, forward movement. Like if someone's in front of him, he makes moves. But and I don't know if he can do it or can't do it. I'm just saying it's
Like
not
a receiver.
It's just not on but I'm saying it's just not on the tape of where the offensive line is getting collapsed in and he's having to do a bunch of stuff. But he has good contact balance. He's fast. He's a physically imposing runner. And he's good making moves moving forward. I just have to see what happens when we don't block for you. Can you make things happen? That'll be the big trick. Because all my factors into Texas, sadly, running back evals is like, well, what do you look like when it goes to hell? Because there's a chance it can go to hell again. The biggest, funniest thing would always be Bijan leads the nation in missed tackles forced. Like, you don't want to lead that stat. That means that the offensive line is not doing anything, and Rojo and Bijan are having to be the run game. But even with those great backs, we're never been great run blockers. So how do they look without an offensive line is sadly one of the questions I have to ask myself.
Can they set up linebackers? That's a big one.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of Cooper, but just the way people talk about him and some of the highlights I've seen in the descriptions, I'm like, sounds like an awesome athlete that
he is a special athlete.
Hand him the ball and let him go run into open grass. I don't know.
That's the eval, is that he's a special athlete. How quickly can we develop him as a true runner? And the good thing about Cooper that we didn't have, if he does get through the hole, he can house it. There are plenty of times this year that the sea did part and none of our guys are fast enough to explode through it. So that's something that Cooper adds that we don't have right now. So that's at least a nice addition. Are you going to be ready to go on to the most important part of winning next year?
Yep.
Before we do that, let's hear a word from David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right. The most important aspect to becoming a championship team is a championship secondary for 2026.
I had to reword this beginning because somebody got confused in the comments. Let me make this opening pitch. I think every team needs a really good secondary to win in modern football because it's so space and spread and skill oriented. So denying space is really important now. I think it's ultra extra important for Texas because I think that one of the biggest advantages you have at the University of Texas is that you have so many good skill athletes and defensive backs in your backyard in recruiting. Because you have a lot in general, and then they all grow up playing 7-on-7 and playing in high school games where the other team is throwing the ball 30, 40 times every other week. And so you get a ton of reps and you get a ton of practice. And a lot of teams in high school even put good players in the secondary in high school. It's kind of unique. Like back in the day, a lot of Akina's best guys were like converts. Like you played running back, you played quarterback, you played receiver in high school. Now you're going to play defensive back. Your high school didn't do that because they needed their best athlete to have the ball in his hands. You still have a lot of that, but you will also get guys that play defensive back in high school because their team is like, no, we actually need superstar athletes. I thought Liberty Hill was going to have a different year because they put their best athlete at safety. I thought that was going to be the difference for them this year. It was not, as it turned out. Although it did help them tremendously. So Texas, yeah. And you look at every great Texas team, and they had an amazing dynamite secondary.
And we saw what it did last year, right?
Except 2023.
Yeah.
But they were in the Big 12. So
But last year, that's very recent and fresh in everyone's mind. You saw what having early round talent were, and not just early round athletes, which they were, smart players that knew what was going on. You know, they really, really figured it out. Makuba, brilliant. Taft, brilliant with Makuba. Barron, one of the smartest just guys I've seen at Texas. Dude, he was a trip. Whenever we were doing the media scrum before Ohio State, he does his interview and we're all just standing there. And then for like 20 minutes, he just holds court. No one's even filming. He holds court. He's asking people about their personal lives. And he's like, yeah. I remember when I did. I was like, this guy can run for president. He's just a remarkable human being. But you saw what that group was able to do. And of course you had Muhammad on the other side of Barron. That was a beautiful, beautiful secondary we had. And then we didn't have that this year. So what happened?
No, they lost all those guys you mentioned.
Yeah.
Also Akina. I don't think Akina helped very much. But you see the stats here. Could have stopped at YPA. 5.7 YPA allowed in 2024. That's outstanding. 6.8 in 2025. It's a lot worse. It's a lot worse. If you look at the numbers year over year, like you may not know, like, oh, a yard, is that a big deal? It's a lot. It's still like it's not like a bottom pass defense in the country, but it's a lot worse. I think the interception number and the pass breakup number also stand out quite a bit. A little more than half as many interceptions in fewer games.
And Paul warned us about that. Remember? That was his big thing in the preseason. He was like, look, man, between Muhammad and Gilbo, we have one disruption. And I think it was I don't know, remember, it was a forced fumble or whatever, like a one pick. And Muhammad's one pick was actually from Tech. That time he went up and got him in the Tech home game. But Paul was standing on the table saying, look, we don't have guys that take the ball away minus Taft. And that bared out.
Muhammad this year had 2 picks and 4 pass breakups.
Yep.
Which is like average production for a corner.
Yeah. And if everyone does it, great. But it's you need everyone to be at like 3 picks. That's when you get into the you dominate.
Littleton had 2 picks and 5 pass breakups. So that's like one of your more ball hockey kind of guys. McDonald, 3 picks and 3 pass breakups. That's actually kind of low for a safety. The interception number is fine, but the 3 pass breakups, he just happened to catch a lot of the balls. Taft went off a cliff, 2 picks, 1 pass breakup. Grayson Littleton led the team with 5 pass deflections. Cade Phillips also had 5. That'd be the other. That's promising, but because those guys both come back and they were freshmen. But yeah, not that great. Not that great statistically.
Rex St. Charles, come on. We lost so much in the secondary from last year. A drop-off was almost assured. That's what we were standing on the table for all preseason, and everybody did not want to hear that. I said there's no way you're going to replace Barron and Makuba. It's just not happening. That was a special combination of players. But preseason fans did not want to hear about that at all.
Muhammad was good. He was significantly improved from 2024. We were afraid, like, now that he's being targeted as the number 1 guy, is he going to hold up? He held up fine. He was good. He didn't have a huge impact like Barron, but he was not really the problem. So
let me see. Yeah, the Gilbo to outside, I didn't ever really buy that one either. Ian was literally gassing up the Akina secondary. Ian was like the number 1 secondary hater in the nation.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like he caught a lot of flack for that.
I was part of me was interested to see what Akina would do. Part of me was extremely nervous about bringing that guy back at his advanced phase of his career.
Very political way to put that. Good job, man. But yeah, the secondary wasn't as good, and we paid for it, especially against like Georgia, man. We had 3 busts, and it'd be different too. We were busting plays, like something we hadn't seen, and even when we weren't like elite, like Jaron Thompson, right? Not elite foot speed, but I didn't worry about him busting plays. So it had been a while before we had seen that come back. It was jarring. The Vanderbilt one was Stowers, where they targeted the safety, and I was like, I haven't seen a wide open bust touchdown like that in like years. And so that was really jarring. It wasn't just, hey, you don't have the level of athletes and they got beat in a foot race. It was, we don't know what we're doing and giving easy touchdowns to teams that are good at passing. And Vanderbilt wasn't even good at passing. That's not even their whole thing. So that was also kind of flips what I said. But the Georgia and stuff like that, man, we just got cooked on a lot of that stuff.
Mississippi State also 3 weeks in a row of getting absolutely cooked and then magically flipping a switch.
Yeah.
It was bizarre, strange.
The whole season's been strange. The offensive line switches 2 guys, and now Arch doesn't get sacked. It was just so weird.
I've learned enough about the offseason to understand sort of what happened there. But there's still things in season. Like, I still don't totally understand what's up with the Neto deal.
Yeah.
And the deal where the secondary was completely unsound for like 3 weeks in a row and then flipped a switch in a rivalry game. That might just have a really obvious answer, which is that the players were just checked out until it was time to beat Texas A&M. It's the simplest answer. That might be sufficient.
That's kind of my thought. A lot of people
really unfortunate too, but that yeah.
Well, the frustrating part is, fans are like, man, we finally figured it out with A&M. Like, going into the playoffs, we would have killed. I'm like, I don't trust this team at all. Like, it could just literally have been that it was an inspired performance. They knew what was up. And Texas has this annoying feature this year that as soon as you doubt them publicly, they're like, now I'm mad. Like, hey, we don't think you can beat OU. Now I'm mad. We don't. A&M's probably going to beat it. And then as soon as they prove the doubters wrong, aka me or whatever, then the next 2 weeks they don't do anything. So I just don't trust their consistency. I don't think it was any guarantee that they would not have a bunch of penalties in the playoffs and have another head scratcher. I did think they got up for those moments, though.
We should start publicly trashing them before every big game.
It seems like it, man, because as soon as you doubt them, that next week they're going to show up, and then you're going to say, wow, Texas, good job for fixing it. And they're like, time to relax. So That was a frustrating feature of Texas this year. Okay. What are the key ingredients here?
I got 3 steps. Again, this time I called them ingredients.
Okay, good work.
Okay, you need your top cornerback, like an NFL kind of guy, where you can play him man coverage any given snap on the other team's best player, so long as it's not, like Jeremiah Smith or something. You can play him one-on-one against a good receiver outside any given snap, and he will be good. You want one guy like that. Then you want your safeties to be super sound and versatile. Not versatile necessarily as in freak athletes, although that's always great. But guys that are sound and proficient in multiple roles. Like they can drop down in the box and hit the right gap in the run game. They can replace a blitzing linebacker in coverage and know how to play coverage underneath. They can play coverage over the top with the right leverage. They can man up a slot every now and then or a tight end and hold up there okay and know what they're doing. Basically, you just want guys that have like a Batman utility belt of skills.
It's another reps position like we talk about with linebacker.
Yeah. So that ends up favoring guys that are super experienced and just super smart, sound, capable football players. And a lot of times they end up not being your fastest, most freakish guys because they have to, and it's not what matters. What matters is the versatility. This bothers me about safety recruiting too, is it feels like everybody's always trying to find Earl Thomas.
Yep.
And it's like, you just need, Michael Taft. You need Makuba, whatever. So
safety doesn't have to be 5-star from high school.
Yeah. Okay. Then you need, within your nickel package, 3 guys that can like play man coverage on an average receiver and be okay. 3 guys that can turn and flip their hips and run down the field, and it's not an automatic cue the fight song for the other team kind of situation. They don't have to be great, other than you want your ace cornerback to be great. But as long as you have at least 3 guys like that, then you can move the safeties around and you can move the pieces around to always be in good shape without having any easily exploitable holes for teams to attack.
You just need 2 All-American safety.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some other guys.
He's trying. Those guys are All-Americans, but it's that their skill sets were really smart, and they also don't have to be at that necessary level. It'd be nice.
Jaron Thompson is a winning player.
I always disagree there. You always like Jaron Thompson. I like Jaron Thompson. He just didn't. That's where there's a requisite athleticism that matters unless you're dropping way the hell back. And Jaron would get caught on just pure foot speed stuff.
He got caught like one time against Alabama.
No, man. He got caught several times. Washington too. Like it was not one time versus.
Oh, he got caught versus Washington. I think they just got caught unsound.
Yeah, it would. Thompson got beat in foot races.
Also, Washington was like one of the most proficient deep passing attacks of the last 10 years.
Yeah, they were great. But I'm saying it happened. It happened more than one time.
He wasn't really the point of failure. Chris Brown was a fine safety who played with Caden Stearns in 2020. Guys like that. See, the first guys that you think of are like guys that were awesome. Like I thought Adrian Phillips, who people didn't appreciate, but he was like a 15-year vet, and now he's doing commentary. Like that guy was special. So
it's hard to think of NFL safeties because they're all going to be incredible athletes on top of that. But the point is, it's more important to be versatile and intelligent at the position. A lot of times we'll just go, hey, that 5-star runs really fast. It's like that's not enough to be a safety.
That was one of my concerns going into this year, is I was like, Taft, great, exactly what we need. The nickel and this other safety spot, I'm not sure. And it was like, well, Jelani McDonald is a god of war. And it's like, I know he's a freak athlete. I get that. But how ready is he to do, like, how many, does he have the Batman utility belt just yet? And honestly, he didn't. I think next year he could, though. Next year, if he comes back,
it's a reps position. So hopefully, that more time.
He comes back next year, he's could be like all-time great. But this year, honestly, wasn't. It's still not quite there yet.
Coach Top asks, any hope for Jonah to lock down a safety spot? That's tough for me, man, because like I said, that's a reps position, and you're not getting reps half the year. Like Jonah's special athlete, but it's like for safety specifically, it does make me nervous because it's like, dude, I want you to be the classic film room nerd and just reps and reps and reps. And so that's what's tricky with Jonah in the baseball thing as well.
Yeah, I think he could be that, and maybe quicker than most guys if it were his sole mission in life.
Well, and like, Taff had that saying where he was like, hey, Jonah, how about at practice when he showed up, hey, you play high perch and I'll go down in the box because it's more complicated down in the box. And he was like, no, I want to learn it. So the mindset's there, but it's also like a constant catch up. Like, notice when he gets there, Taft's like, hey, man, you're not really prepared for this. How about you take the easier role? And so it's like, even though he's willing, has all the intangibles, he's super competitive, and of course, an incredible athlete, you're still just constantly behind the 8 ball when half the year you're playing baseball, especially if Texas goes on runs in baseball. Now you're playing even longer.
Yeah, half the year you're trying to do the most difficult thing in competitive sports. Hit a baseball.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna.
Eric Williams still with the team as of before this live, yes, but there's complications there. We have to see what happens with Akina. That relationship appears strained. So we got to see what's going on there. He's, of course, recovering from that injury. We don't think he has the same pop that he did. Where like that OU game he played as a freshman, you were like, hell yeah. So safety's also complicated this year because Jordan Johnson-Rebel, does he want playing time elsewhere? Aquino was known for not giving the other guys good enough reps in practice. He was kind of just like my mainline starters. Aquino just really, really complicated a lot of this. So you're going to have to see. I think you talk about it later on about the safeties, right? That it's kind of a room in flux. Does Jelani come back? Does Williams want to come back? Does JJR want more playing time somewhere else? There's another guy I'm missing for something like that. Jonah's playing baseball. Phil Sami has good athleticism, but he did not know what the hell was going on when he was on the field. It's like there's a ton of projection going on in this room that makes me a little bit nervous.
Let's just go through the list. Do they have an ace cornerback? No. If Muhammad goes, then they do not. Can they develop one from Kobe Black, Cade Phillips, Grayson Littleton?
Maybe.
Warren Roberson? Maybe. Mm-hmm. Getting one out of the portal would be even better. Retaining Muhammad would be probably the surest way. I don't know if any of that's going to happen. I have a suspicion that 0 of those things will happen. And they will be very good, but not have an ace cornerback. Second thing, will they have 2 heady, reliable safeties? Well, if they bring McDonald back and he comes back with I'm going to go turn myself into a second-round pick, then they'll have 1. Who's the second one? Maybe get one out of the portal? Maybe. And then, so that's another big question mark already. We're already like potentially 0 for 2. Okay, third one, can you have depth of good cornerbacks so that you can put guys on the field in nickel or whatever and make it where the other team can't find easily exploitable matchups? This one I feel great about. Because I think Littleton is going to be at least good at whatever position he plays. Kobe Black is now a little more promising if he's engaged. Cade Phillips obviously seems like he could be good. Warren Roberson was actually pretty good. They don't lack for cornerback body and skill sets.
It's one of the most exciting projection rooms out there for Texas, but it's still projection.
I mean, they seems like they think that they can get their ace cornerback just from natural growth of that room.
And they might be right.
They might be right. I don't know. But I at least feel good about they're going to have depth of guys that can play and be productive. I think it's going to be hard to like bum hunt Texas next year. I just don't know if they're going to get the big impact at safety or the top corner.
All right. So we're not sure if the offensive line will get fixed, and we're not sure if the secondary will get fixed.
I'm not worried about the offensive line, honestly. Are you worried about the offensive line?
For sure. Yeah.
I feel like it's not that hard.
The recruiting has been horrific.
If you actually just load up in the portal, though, it's like the easiest position to fix.
Yeah. I don't dude, my trust is so damaged with that room. It's so I mean, a lot of this stuff we were saying before the season and they didn't do it. So it's like I know they have a different motivation this year and they really paid the price for not doing it, but there's just so much if this then that going on with this team just across the team that it's like, man, and you have to nail all of these. So it's just that's where it's tricky, man. I'm in wait and see mode with the staff, frankly. Yeah. I say if too much when I'm talking about this team next year that I don't like.
Yeah, there's the they need to go like 8 for 8 or something to truly build a national championship team.
Right.
But I think most of those 8 steps are really doable. I think they'll probably get like 3/4 of the way there or something. Be 10-2, go back to the playoffs, lose in the semis, something like that.
All right, we're going long, but just hit this. Correct anything if you think it's wrong. But Ian, wish list, what would it be?
I don't understand why we need another DT, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not huge on that one either, especially with Canoe coming back.
Yeah, it feels like they want the big plotter guy so that they can build a short yardage package and whatnot. It feels like they should be able to find that guy on the roster with so many bodies. But if not, I mean, that's been a really big advantage for Texas to make red zone and 3rd, 4th down really difficult by always having a Brevard or a Sweat or who's that? Bill Norton.
But here's my thing. Texas was number 1 in the nation on defense in short yardage. So it's like it wasn't a problem. And so
Brevard was a big part of it, and now he's gone.
Maybe I haven't looked at like who caused, but it's like Texas did great at it. And so maybe you need one, but it's like that wasn't the problem with the Texas defense this year at all. Now, maybe it could become one, right? It doesn't mean that it'll carry over next year, but Texas, like the past 3 or 4 years have been like at least top 5 on shutting that down. So it's not like, to me, a crazy thing. If you can get a nose that can just hang out for a reasonable price and you have leftover money, go for it. But to me, it's not jumping really any of these. Maybe corner, I don't know, but it's like it's so low on my priorities.
So they bring back January, Canoe, Watson, and then Justice Terry. If he's not playing in the 2 deep next year, then yikes.
Justice Terry, and then you have Charles, Shorma, you have young guys. So it's like, to me, it's just
maybe Shaw. I can't tell if Shaw is out of eligibility or not. But
I don't know.
I'm okay with one guy, but it needs to be. I think Levon Johnson is potentially back. I'm okay with adding a guy, but I don't want to spend. They have so many holes, so don't neglect something else because you spent big on some guy. Another Brevard or Norton, it's fine. That makes sense. Although it feels like they should be able to find that guy.
So you're good with 4 linemen, 2 running back, 1 wide receiver. If it makes financial sense, it's projectable. A linebacker, a corner for insurance. I would put safety above corner. I know this isn't ranking. You're just listing this, but I would take a safety before I took a corner for sure. And then a DT sprinkled on top if need be.
It depends on the specific guys. But yeah, this feels good. If they can manage all that, that'd be great. Yeah, the wide receiver, I'd try to find the kind of guy we're talking about, like a Golden. Corner, if they can't get Muhammad back, then like a Jermod McCoy level addition, which are kind of hard to find.
Well, and it's not just are you going to the NFL or not, right? Like teams are after Muhammad too in the college ranks. So you're fending off multiple angles for Muhammad as well. So it can be even more complicated than is he going to the NFL or not.
Yeah.
So we will see.
I feel like
all right, everyone.
Should be a higher priority. So
yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's high enough priority. Sorry, go ahead.
I want you to go over to Inside Texas and join for $1, where this conversation contains 24 hours a day. You will never miss. Comment. It's a lively board. It's not one of those dead boards that you pay a bunch of money to every year and it's like 2 guys comment on it. So come hang out. And this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Y'all have an awesome day. Later.